Today, Ripple rolls out a new platform for central banks to issue CBDCs. We asked some Bitcoin 2023 conference goers why they were willing to shell out thousands of dollars for tickets during the so-called crypto winter. And MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor sits down with us here at Bitcoin 2023 to discuss his outlook for the cryptocurrency and the industry as a whole. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith here at Bitcoin 2023 in Miami. Crypto prices are mixed to end the week, with Bitcoin slipping back below the $27,000 level as investors focus on comments from Fed Chair Jay Powell. Ether rose slightly, remaining above the $1,800 level, and XRP jumped more than 2% as of noon Eastern. The move higher for Ripple's native token came after the blockchain firm announced it was starting an enhanced CBDC platform that allows central banks, governments, and financial institutions to issue their own digital currencies. The XRP token added more than 10% in value over the past week. Bitcoin and Ether are also up for the week, both by more than 2.5%. All right, as you can see, there are a significant number of people around me who are interested in learning more about the Bitcoin space, even though the crypto market has had a rough year. Organizers confirmed that attendance is down by more than half compared to last year, and yet some people were willing to shell out thousands of dollars for whale passes. Crypto World's Mackenzie Segalos explores why.
I'm here in Miami Beach for Bitcoin 2023, where thousands of people are gathering to discuss the biggest cryptocurrency in the world. But things look a little different than last year. In April 2022, Bitcoin's price sat right around $40,000, a far cry from the $68,000 all-time high it hit in 2021, but people were optimistic.
So if you look over a really long time period, what you find is that Bitcoin is a non-correlated asset, that it has been a fantastic safe haven, and it has served as an inflation hedge.
About a month after Bitcoin 2022, the industry was struck by the collapse of a major crypto token, Terra USD, and its sister token, Luna. That sent prices plummeting further and led to a wave of bankruptcies throughout the summer. Then in November, FTX, the darling of the crypto industry, filed for bankruptcy after evidence surfaced that the exchange had commingled funds with its investing arm, Alameda Research. That was yet another hit to prices that brought about yet another wave of bankruptcies. And that's what the industry is still grappling with today. But those who came to the conference still see Bitcoin's potential in particular. Some paid more than $20,000 for special VIP access to the event, also known as the Whale Pass.
And why does it feel like, even during a bear market, you want to be at Bitcoin Miami? Like, why did you think it was still important to prioritize this event?
I think because Bitcoin is the most stable cryptocurrency.
It's the biggest show there is in the world, right? If you're not here, you're not part of that ecosystem.
I spoke to MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor last year at the conference, and his whole thesis was Bitcoin was meant to be held for as long as possible.
Take the money you want to give to your grandchildren, convert it to Bitcoin, put it in cold storage, and wait. There's only one mistake you can make. And the mistake you can make is study the world, get anxiety about something going on somewhere in the world, and sell your Bitcoin.
And this year?
The entire world is confused about what happens next. So continual education, communication, and interpretation of all the activities in the finance markets, and especially the crypto markets in every country in the world, is what keeps me up at night.
Author Michael Lewis of The Big Short is also here ahead of his next book on Sam Bankman-Fried, as are two presidential contenders, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is here talking about his pro-Bitcoin platform. Another major topic of conversation: what's next for Bitcoin? Everything from proof-of-work mining to the Lightning Network, which enables instantaneous and cross-border payments that are virtually free.
We think Lightning is amazing in many ways. It's open, it's really cheap, it's a network that settles in real time, unlike any of the older payment systems that we all rely on for the vast majority of our transactions today. And so what we have done is basically made Lightning enterprise grade and really easy to use.
The conference runs through Saturday, so we'll see if crowds grow beyond expectations. What we know for now, the common refrain among all conference attendees is number goes up, meaning it's all about hanging in there through this bear market with the expectation that the price of Bitcoin will head back up.
All right, you heard a little from Michael Saylor right there, but Mackenzie sat down with the MicroStrategy executive chairman yesterday. He argues that Bitcoin has bottomed and the crypto is now on a bull run. Take a listen.
So it's undoubtedly been a rough year for the industry, starting with Terra Luna, followed by Celsius, Voyager Digital, FTX, and this is a Bitcoin-focused event. But of course, when you have things happening in other ends of the crypto ecosystem, it ripples into investor confidence, both your retail traders, your institutional investors. What are your thoughts on the space right now and how we bounce back from it?
Yeah, I think a year ago, before Terra Luna, before all the bankruptcies, the question is what's going to happen? And then the plea has been, give us regulatory clarity. I think we're getting clarity. And I think the clarity is Bitcoin's a crypto commodity and the regulators aren't going to interfere with it. And if you want to actually own and buy a crypto commodity in the form of Bitcoin, you're fine. I think the crypto exchanges are going to be reorganized. I think the cryptocurrencies in the form of stable coin are going to be regulated, if not regulated out of existence. I think the crypto tokens and crypto securities are going to be regulated, perhaps out of existence. So you've got your clarity. Your clarity is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most secure network. It's the most secure asset. Everything else has got a black cloud hanging over it. And you're going to see a consistent flow of capital flowing from the rest of the crypto ecosystem to Bitcoin. And you're going to see a consistent flow of development effort flowing from the crypto ecosystem on top of the Bitcoin ecosystem.
So I'm thinking about a couple of things pegged to the halving that's happening next April. Now, typically we would see a run up in the price of Bitcoin going into that. And that would set off the next bull cycle. But, there are a couple of things that are fundamentally different this time around. The IRS is very involved in, wanting to know what your crypto investments are, taxing them. Institutional money, I imagine that some players are scared. I mean, yes, we are starting to get regulatory clarity, but I mean, there's a lot that's still unknown in terms of how federal regulators are going to target certain institutions. So, and when I think of institutional money, I think about that being a big part of the narrative around the last bull cycle. So, I mean, what happens next year? Are these headwinds going to affect what would have otherwise been a traditional cycle for Bitcoin, or do you not see that having any sort of impact on the run-up?
Yeah, I think the industry is going through growing pains. The bullish factors in favor of Bitcoin is if nearly all of the bad leverage has been squeezed out. Everyone in the business of shorting Bitcoin, rehypothecating Bitcoin, loaning Bitcoin, they've all been bankrupted. The remaining exchanges where you can short it are under a massive amount of regulatory pressure, and if the regulators have their way, they would like to see all the Bitcoin derivatives markets offshore be eliminated. So I think Bitcoin's found the bottom. I think the leverage is out of it. I think we're on a bull run. I think bullishly, the FASB initiative to adopt fair value accounting is a very auspicious development. I think all of the migration of ordinals, inscriptions activity onto the Bitcoin blockchain is a very auspicious development. I think the halving will be very auspicious. And I think the fact that the average media journalist and average investor knows that Bitcoin is the one commodity that the SEC is not going to regulate is an auspicious development. So I think the way is clear for Bitcoin to rally from here. I would be very skeptical of all the other crypto investments.
Speaking of the futures market, whereas Bitcoin does seem to be firmly under the remit of the CFTC and thought of as a commodity, there's still this question around Ether. And so is the CME suddenly in violation of securities laws if for a lot of the futures contracts that they offer, if the SEC makes this call that it falls under their regulatory remit? It seems like a gray zone still.
I think there's a lot of discomfort within the regulators with regard to the circulation of all the crypto asset securities, the operation of all the crypto exchanges, and also the circulation of the cryptocurrencies, the stable coins. And they're sitting out there in bulk, circulating right now, and the regulators want to figure out how to clarify and rationalize that structure while doing the least amount of damage. And that's not easy.
Something I've been thinking about a lot and talking to a lot of people about is this idea of Operation Choke Point 2.0. So, following the fall of SVB, Silvergate, and signature banks, we saw
that two of like the most important payment networks that were helping with after hours payment settlement, weekend payment settlement, like fall out. And I've been talking to a lot of crypto firms, and it sounds like they're just assuming that balance sheet risk overnight because there isn't really a suitable replacement. And I guess my larger question to you out of this is that we've seen a drop off in liquidity. And, you know, in terms of price movements, that's a great thing when you have a bullish buy, because then you can see like these much wider swings in the price of Bitcoin. But overall, it's not a good thing if you can't on-ramp fiat into the ecosystem.
I think most of the liquidity was being delivered by people rehypothecating and shorting Bitcoin. And so as the Alamedas and the Genesis and all the exchanges and all the other altcoins exit the market, yeah, some of the liquidity dries up, but that's actually bullish for Bitcoin. I think it's pretty clear from all the regulatory moves with regard to the banks and the stable coins that the regulators simply do not want a non-KYC settlement network operating in US dollars, either in the form of a stable coin or operating on a DeFi network or operating on a crypto network or operating through a US banking network. All of those are being rejected with prejudice. And the conclusion you come to is the capital that's sitting in stable coins and the capital that's sitting on crypto exchanges and crypto tokens is going to have to exit, but it won't exit through a fiat off-ramp or a bank. It's going to get traded into Bitcoin and it's going to get withdrawn from the exchanges.
You know, I think of the U.S. as a jurisdiction for crypto generally, Bitcoin in particular. There are so many conversations now about, you know, companies coming out to say that they're exploring being based elsewhere, not because they're going to a place with very lax rules. In fact, a lot of people are bullish on the UK, which has very stringent rules around the digital asset market. But what does it mean if a lot of companies begin, crypto-focused companies and exchanges and others in the industry leave the United States? Is that is that bad for the United States? Is that bad for Bitcoin? Like, what does that mean if the U.S. is no longer friendly to this industry?
I don't think there's any place for them to go. People say the industry's moving offshore. I don't think there's going to be any jurisdiction with large pools of capital that's going to be more permissive than in the United States. So I think what that means is all those practices are going to float into the gray market at best, where there's 5% as much capital. And the legitimate business in Western Europe, the United States, Singapore, Japan, is going to be rebuilt on a Bitcoin base layer using Lightning or using other Bitcoin protocols. And if it's not that, it must absolutely be an asset without an issuer, truly decentralized, designated as a commodity by the regulators. If you can't build a crypto application on top of a commodity network decentralized, I don't think there's a future for it in the developed world.
Is there anything that's keeping you up at night right now?
The entire world is confused about what happens next. So continual education, communication, and interpretation of all the activities in the finance markets, and especially the crypto markets in every country in the world, is what keeps me up at night. I want to make sure that everyone that has any responsibility for this is best informed about what we need to do in order to move forward in a responsible fashion.
All right, you'll be able to check out that full interview with Saylor on our website, cnbc.com/cryptoworld. That's all for Crypto World this week, but we'll be back again on Monday with more interviews from this conference, so we'll see you then.